Hey, welcome back to week 41. Our universal truths and the false beliefs that blind us to these universal truths. Here's the thing, people are inherently worthy. We are brought into this world as babies. We're born pure, innocent, and valuable. This is a universal truth. And we're here to connect, create, and contribute in our own unique way. This is true of all human beings, and this is also true of you. However, this isn't always the way it ends up. We sometimes end up in a mess or feeling like we're in a mess or even just not making our greatest contribution. In this video, we're going to discuss what gets us off our universal path and how to get back onto that path using our universal truths. So what happens when we're disconnected from the universal truth? We forget that we are inherently worthy, valuable, unique, and important in the overarching arc of human evolution. Instead, we begin to believe the stories of the world and the messages we get through our own conditioning. We make these messages, these stories into our own truth, and they become false beliefs. What are false beliefs? They are any thought that you have that are negative, any thought that you have that make you small, any thoughts that keep you from seeing the truth of who you truly are. Some examples are source fractures or rackets or any stories that get made up. I'm going to give you an example from my own life. A while ago, I was made aware of a challenge my child was having that was being caused by someone else. It was something that most people would consider to be relatively serious. And so I felt like it's my job to protect her. This is valid, right? We're here to protect our children. That's our job. I felt upset and triggered and very compelled to intervene on behalf of her. I wanted to talk to the other party and right this wrong, this harm that I perceived being caused to my child. I really wanted them to see that they're wrong and that they need to change. But when I paused for a moment, I saw that I had a belief. And that belief was what other people do to my child will be a long-term detriment to her life and to her character. And at the time, this belief felt like it was the truth. And it felt like an extremely painful truth that my ego, very much wanted to resolve. Now, my true self, really had to stop and look much, much deeper, at a deeper level to unearth what is actually a universal truth here. But before I could get to the universal truth, I had to be clear on what was the actual false belief at its very core. I had to be brutally honest with myself about what was coming up for me that was being reflected out there. So I slowed way down and I asked myself some hard questions. I realized what I actually felt underneath it all was fear. Fear for her safety and for her well-being. But it took a moment longer to connect to what was truly underneath that, a false belief around my own parenting, my effort at parenting up until now, which is interesting because deeper underneath that racket was my source fracture, which is I'm not good enough. This insidious racket snuck under the radar with seemingly valid data, right? I'm here to protect my kids at all costs. So what's the level up on the universal scale? For me, and also potentially for you, the level up is when we believe even the most subtle and unconscious thoughts without investigation, we shortchange ourselves and we create huge disconnection from ourselves and from life. And when you get present, you can become aware of these false beliefs, identify how they're keeping you blocked and suffering and in drama and fear. So what did I do with the false belief that my daughter was in danger? I created a new empowered belief, but it's not that simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. I actually asked someone to coach and hold space for me, and I talked through my false belief in a very logical way. In this case, I championed myself with data, a list that supports how many ways I've empowered my kids to persevere through challenges, and a reminder that that's what they need to grow and flourish and thrive is to persevere through these challenges. I've learned to guide her to make solid decisions and also to not take the situation personally. and to trust that the values-based foundation that we've built up over the years will be strong enough to hold her without my intervening. And of course, more importantly, most importantly, kids need to see, feel, and hear us letting go of our own false beliefs and getting into universal alignment. Modeling is everything. So universal alignment, when you wake up and you let go of your false beliefs, you can literally feel the universe speaking to you with zero blocks. Here's a simple example of what universal alignment might look and feel like. You may have this happen after a car ride where you've just been sitting and being present and still, and you just sort of have an intuition or an aha arise, or could come after a meditation or being at the beach or in the mountains, or while listening to waves crash on the shore or the wind in the trees. Sometimes alignment will come with a disembodied feeling, a deep sense of peace passing over my whole body, or a complete cessation of thoughts for just one moment. Sometimes I'll suddenly sit up and have an inner knowing to an answer to a question that I may or may not have even posed or that I've been pondering. I'm really, really encouraging you to take on the challenge this week to get through your false beliefs and get into universal alignment. So here's the challenge. Identify an area where you may have a false belief. A hint for this is any area where you don't feel 100% connected, where you feel out of alignment with your body, or you're making up a story about other people. That's an area where you may have a false belief. So what I want you to do is write down this false belief and just put it in a box and let go of it for a while. You can take it back out at the end of the exercise. Now, take out a new piece of paper and write down a new belief, an empowered belief that will replace it. Not the opposite, but what it is truly when you step into your true self and into your power. What is actually true? Number 4, I want you to get into alignment with the higher vibrational frequency, with the energy of this empowered you. Get in alignment with universal energy and just sit still and listen to whatever the universe, whatever the divine, whatever source, whatever goddess or deity or divinity that you listen to. Listen for the wisdom that will come from this place. I'm really looking forward to hearing how this week goes for you and what you're learning from it. I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Take care. Bye-bye.